Oh, there you go.
I got a good story about that picture right there that's on the.
29. They're down by 14. And Toretta intercepted by Teague. George Teague to the end zone. Touchdown. Hall is now right in the middle. That says blitz. Passes away, penalty flag down. Lamar Thomas has got it. Lamar Thomas is on his way down the sideline. George Teague is after him and runs him down. Takes the ball away from him. Teague's got the ball. And they tackle Teague back up to 12. Game's over. Alabama defeats Miami. Number 2 beats number 1, 34-13.
Blitz on from the 1. And they throw a fade right side of the end zone for Owens. He got both feet in. Touchdown catch over the shoulder. Look at it. Here we go. Oh, they're going to have a big fight. There goes Owens. Puts it down. And he levels it. Here it goes. And now Teague is aimed at by an offensive lineman. Flozell Adams pulls Teague away. And Owens is waved to the bench. And he stands in the middle of the star and holds the ball out.
Let me tell you something, Brad. Terrell Owens started it. Emmett Smith went out to the 50, trumped him. Now Terrell Owens comes back, and George Teague said, you know what, I'm not going to take this. Good for George Teague.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Teague's Take. Alongside George and JT, broadcasting virtually tonight again. I am Tim, and we've got another action-packed show for you tonight with a very special guest. We've got a lot of Cowboys talk for you off the big win. Are they moving up too far in the draft or moving down too far in the draft order? We're going to address that because that could be some trouble if they're playing and playing too well, winning too much. We already decided they need a top 5 pick, but now they're going to start winning and ruin everything for everybody if you're a Cowboys fan. Is that really the right attitude? We're going to address that because I don't think it is. We're going to discuss some Jameis Winston in the second half of the show. Our personal NFL power rankings, which is always a sketchy subject. I think JT still got the Jets in the top 5.
What?
So we'll figure that out later. Then George is going to give us another TAPS football playoff update as we are in round 2, right, George?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. A lot of big games this week.
But first, as we always do, we've got a very special guest this week, one of George's friends. George, please introduce our guest this week.
Yes, sir. So most of you probably know her as Texas Girl 2009. I've been fortunate enough and blessed enough to have conversations with her, me, Consuela, Jada, JT, a lot of us earlier, because she was one of the devoted people that said, hey, Coach Teague, I don't know if she calls me Coach Teague or George Teague. I guess I got to find out what that is here soon, and said that she loved to give me as much feedback as possible. And once I learned how big of a Cowboy fan she was, it really touched my heart. But there's another piece that we got to talk about a little bit later that doesn't touch my heart on her college her college teams. When she told me that she really likes to be outdoors and have a good time and love football or sports in general, and that she liked fantasy football, I was sold. I knew that she was the type of person we need to have her on our team. So I'm going to welcome not Texas Girl 2009 to our show, but Clara Russell. Thank you for being with us today. We really, really appreciate it very much. And I got to tell you, before we even get into this too much, we're not going to talk about necessarily where she lives, but that jersey behind her, I have a really, I don't know, I'm going to say unique. It's not unique, but it was interesting in it because I probably mailed her that jersey. I don't know. I'm going to guess 3 months ago. It was a long time ago. I do know that. Just from helping out with the Teague's Take, she ended up winning, being one of our lottery winners. And so I sent it, and I just assumed she had it. But everyone that got their jersey hit me back and said, hey, I received your jersey. Thank you. You know, something of that nature. And Clara never ever reached out to me, so I just figured it wasn't that important to her or that she didn't like it. I never heard from her. Well, literally about 6 weeks after I sent it, I get a box back with the jersey in it. So now I'm really like, damn, she don't even want a jersey. She sent it back to me, right? So that was interesting, but I hit her up, DM'd her up and said, hey, what's going on here? I got the wrong jersey the wrong address. And she's like, no, that's the right address. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on for real? So her neck of the woods, she lives on so much land out there. It's like when you live in one of those big old ranches and things of that nature. She don't have a mailbox, I guess. So the post office don't run out there. So I was trying to FedEx it, and they wouldn't take it to her. So it got stuck in a warehouse somewhere. And finally, after I got it back to her, I tried to mail it to her to a P.O. box. And for whatever reason, they wouldn't take that either. So I don't even remember what I had to do. I think I had to send it UPS. So it was a long time to try to get that.
It's been around. It's been around.
Yes, it has. So I hope you appreciate it. I hope you like it.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Absolutely. Thank you, George. Appreciate it.
So why don't you tell us how and how long you've been a Cowboy fan? Because this is the first time that we've had just a true fan on. It's always been some type of celebrity type, ex-player type, analyst type. Why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself and how you became a Cowboy fan?
Well, I call myself, I have this term that I use, and it's called a cradle Cowboy fan. And what that means is I was born into it. My dad, my parents were huge Cowboy fans, and all of my life. And so I had 4 brothers. All of them played sports, high school sports, and football in particular. So guess who was all-time quarterback on 6-on-6? Because there were 6 of us. So I learned a lot about the game at an early age. So anyway, I've been a fan all my life, and it's something that my family enjoyed doing. And I've had the pleasure of going to training camps, a lot of games. And, I don't use the word super fan because I don't dress up and I don't do those things that people do. I just kind of stay in the background and just go to my husband and I like to travel a lot. You guys know that. And we decided a long time ago we could either do one or two things. We could buy season tickets here, or for about the same cost, we could travel to the away games. And I think that's what really endeared me to a lot of the players, because, away games are unique and so much fun. And, I think it's a necessity for not only the fans, but the players. We kind of feed off each other, and we've had a lot of fun. We visited all of the stadiums. I think Minnesota is probably the first one that we haven't been to, and then COVID kind of sidelined that this year. But anyway, just a huge fan. And I've had 2 husbands, but only 1 team. So you can tell me who I love most, my team. And my mother always said, if you go to jail, it better be because of the Cowboys. Otherwise, it's not acceptable.
Was your first husband Dallas and your second husband Cowboy, or what?
They both had to be Cowboy fans, but they have to put up with me because, as you know, on my Twitter, I go all year round. I don't take a break from football usually, and so I've been doing this for a little bit, and I just love the team. I don't have any players that I am just diehard. I love the team, the franchise, the history. If I was back then, I think that my daddy said he was a Kansas City fan, and then they came here, and so they were born, 1960 here. So I think I was born after that, but I've been a fan since birth, literally.
So since you've been a fan that long, were you like destroyed when Jerry Jones got rid of
Landry?
Landry?
Yeah, I mean, we're still. I think it's the curse, right? It's the Babe Ruth. It's the Babe curse. I think we have that. I really believe that because of the way that he did it, I believe that the Cowboys have truly always been cursed in that respect. So yeah.
So with your traveling, and you said you were talking about training camps. What have you been to locally? I guess they did the Star last year, but how many different cities have you been to with it? Did you go out to California? Did you go to what's the other one before I got there?
And then there, yeah.
In Austin.
Yeah. And the one in San Antonio. I remember they were in San Antonio. They were in Wichita Falls for a few years too, which is 100 miles or so.
Hot.
Don't tell me about that one because I was there. It was about 28 days straight of 100 and plus degrees, and everybody was cramping up. So
it's bad. And people don't understand. That's a good point, George. People don't understand. They call it Camp Cupcake, and they don't understand that actually you can get more done if you're not, cramping and you're not sick and you're not, that kind of takes away, I feel like, from drills and things that need to be going on the field. And if you're in a place where it's cooler and the atmosphere is, the humidity isn't as bad, I feel like that the players can sustain more playing time on the field. And just because I've seen it personally.
As a fan, does that bother you though? That is further away? I'm just speaking in general. I know you like to travel, but do you think typically as a fan they think that's a problem if you're too far away to go watch them?
Actually, I think it's better because I think Jerry Jones, has really capitalized that market out there in Southern California. I know that there's huge fan groups out there, and we will often, when we go, we'll caravan from Oxnard down to, I know we did San Diego one year, and then we went up to Santa Clara, up to San Francisco, the 49ers stadium. And I'll tell you, that freeway was packed with Cowboy fans from California. So from a marketing perspective, I think it's a brilliant move,
Okay.
And it gives those people an opportunity to see the Cowboys, and there's a military base out there. And I know they have big military days, and I think it's really a brilliant marketing strategy on Jerry Jones's part. But for me personally, I think it's beneficial just because the team benefits from less humidity and favorable weather.
Well, especially when you're in a market out there that didn't have a pro football team for 20 years or however long it was. I mean, that was totally genius of him to go corner that market. And even though the Rams and the Chargers are there, there's still Cowboy fans all over that stadium when they come out. That first game they played against the Rams, it was full of Cowboys. It's like Pittsburgh fans in Dallas.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we go to restaurants out there, and we'll have our Cowboy stuff on, and they'll ask, "Oh, are you guys here for the Cowboys?" Yeah, and they start talking to us and say, "Oh, I've been a Cowboy fan forever. I've never been to Texas, but I'm a huge Cowboy fan." And it always fascinates me, that people respond like that to a team when they've never really had very much interaction with the team itself. So
right. Let's talk some football. Some real football. First, tell me, would you consider yourself an offensive person or a defensive person?
Well, this year, this year's been definitely offense. I don't think anybody wants to associate themselves with. Oh my goodness. Well, listen,
okay.
But I think this year in particular, because I felt like this was really, honestly, I felt like Dak was going to have his best year. And I feel like at this point when he went down, kind of our hope was dashed. His numbers, I had him on I drafted him on our fantasy team, and he was putting up remarkable numbers right there with Pat Mahomes. He was, winning me those games. And so, yeah, I think this year the offense has been a target of my, frustration and everything else. Defense, I think I think defense has some issues, but I think Mike Nolan has a complicated scheme, and I think it's going to take a little time to work itself out.
So you're saying we should give him time?
I do think so. Only because he brought a playbook, and if you ever if you know Mike Nolan, you saw him in Miami, you saw him in that's what he does. I think he overcomplicates a little bit, and I think that I think our players are just adjusting, because I have a lot of faith in Jalen and Tank Lawrence and I think Sean Lee directs those guys. I think he's a great leader. I have a lot of faith in them. Our safeties need help, clearly, obviously, but
they need Jesus. They need more than help.
So, okay. So as you guys can see, I got Jada here with me, and for this edition of Jada Speak, instead of having her come in via video, we're going to have her ask this question while she sits right here with me. So this question will be posed to everybody, so everyone will get a chance to answer this question. So have at it.
Okay, so today the Dallas Cowboys canceled their practice because of the head strength and conditioning coach, Marcus Paul. He needed to be rushed to the hospital. Now, there was a report that he had passed away, but it was later shown that that was not confirmed, and it was actually not true. So how do you guys feel about unconfirmed reports? What do you have? What are your thoughts about that?
JT, you first.
Yeah, so I guess I'm trying to figure out how to attack this question, because so I looked online, right, about the Cowboys canceling practice, and it actually took me a while to find anywhere saying that Marcus Paul had passed. There were two. When I did find it, there were actually 3 sites. 2 of them had issued corrections, but the headline was still there. So I guess the first thing that I have an issue with is that most people read the headlines, never read the article, and they just move on. One of those was USA Today, but as soon as you clicked into the article, like, it wasn't like update at the bottom. It was like a totally brand new article. You read it, and the first thing that you saw in there was like, team denies or family denies reports of Marcus Paul passing. And then it's like, okay, cool. SI.com was the second one that I would have considered credible that issued an update, but it was kind of in smaller print, so you could read what they had posted before, and then there was a editorial update afterwards, which I'm usually not a fan of, because that requires you, if you had already read it before, you're less likely to read it again. And then the other one was just some site that I never even heard of, and was like, I don't even know who clicks on this. Like, if you got to get to the second page of Google to find it, then you've got bigger problems. But then I started kind of diving into, how did this get started? And it seemed to be, there was one particular person that said that this may have happened, but he did also state that it was unconfirmed. So again, users kind of have to have some kind of reading comprehension to know what confirmed sources mean. That doesn't mean that it happened and they don't want to tell you who told them. That's undisclosed. Unconfirmed means they're not actually sure, but they heard this thing. And then it also didn't help that people like Eli Manning and some other Giants players were also just tweeting that he had passed. So I think that's really kind of how it got traction. But for the most part, it took me a minute to actually find somewhere that said that he had passed. So I don't know that this is necessarily a media problem in this instance. This is more of a social media problem, where big name people are tweeting condolences, and you just see a one-off from Eli Manning, and then you couple it with the statement the Cowboys made that said that he's got to go to the hospital and he's in critical condition, and then you just make assumptions, which is I blame that more on social media because it's kind of trained people to look at the headline, not read the article, and share it, and just say, "Hey, look at this," and never have actually read it, not even the first paragraph of what was in there. Because all you had to do is read the first paragraph and see that he wasn't.
Well, so Clara's one that really actually kind of brought it to my attention because it was really, really early this morning. I just happened to see you tweet something about
Prayers.
hoping, prayers for, the team or the coach or whatever it was. And I was like, what's going on here? So what do you think how do you feel about what Jay has asked Clara? Does that concern you any?
Yeah, I think he hit it. I think he hit it right on the, the head. I think that what happens is, in an effort to be the first to, get the scoop, as you will, people are a little careless with things, and once it's out there, it's out there. And I think that that's probably why I really kind of follow a lot of the beat writers, because I feel like most of them are out there at Frisco, and most of them were there when when it happened, versus a national media, because they can pick it up off the wire, but you have your beat writers that are there at the Star. I feel like, it's kind of like if they say that it's happened, then you can kind of, there's some teeth behind it, and so that's kind of how I approach it. I look at the story like JT said, you have to read, and at the time that I said, I was just praying for Marcus Paul, because irregardless, his family, I can imagine how scared and it took me back to the time when at the practice field when it collapsed, you remember, and they had it was really chaotic and people were injured and all of that. I recall that, and it was before Facebook and before Twitter, and at the time that it collapsed, people were talking about it, but no one, it seems like there's a big, huge divide in what there was back then, which was accurate reporting and concern, and now it's just like everybody just, it's kind of like shock value, and it's really unfortunate,
Yep. All right, Tim.
Yeah.
Last one. What you think, bro?
Well, quickly, I think, unfortunately, this is just the world we live in now. Everybody wants all of their information in 60 characters or less. They don't bother, like JT mentioned, going into the details of an article. They read a headline, and that's it. And not only that, I mean, there's so much misinformation that can be there. Not only that, but now literally everyone on social media is a reporter, and they can report anything at any time for any reason, true, false, derogatory, uplifting, whatever. Anybody can do it. Everybody can see it. I see legit reports from people on Twitter that I still don't really know who these people are. Maybe I don't recognize the name. I don't see a check mark. Maybe I do see a check mark, but I'm not real sure who he is. Following him for a reason. But if I see something from somebody like that, of course, as a wannabe journalist myself, I'm going to delve into the story. And I learned a lot from Mike Fisher, who taught us about, how not to read into fake news and how how to confirm stuff before you believe it or re-report it or anything like that. So he's a wealth of information about stuff like that. But, I just think that's the world we live in. Anybody can report anything at any time. Doesn't have to be real. Doesn't have to be true. And there's going to be half of Twitter that's going to believe it. And half of those people that are going to retweet it. And that's how crap gets out there and gets started and the rumors get started. In this situation, I want to say that the report came from a credible source that he had passed away. It was just misinformation. And unfortunately, when you're in this situation, even though it was early, I was listening to 105.3 The Fan when this happened, and they were who I heard the announcement that he had passed from on a 100,000 watt radio station here in Dallas. The flagship station of the Dallas Cowboys reported his death. And it wasn't until about an hour later they had to come back on the same show, the same host, and retract it.
Well,
So, I just think that's the world that we live in. And as a fan, you got to kind of weed out the good and the bad. And, especially when it comes to somebody's death, man, you cannot be too careful about stuff like that.
Wow, that's right. And I appreciate all you guys saying that. And hopefully you do too, Jada, because I think you all make great points. And it's really just about understanding what you're reading, who the sources are, and be careful what you read, especially on social media. So we're still live.
The tips that I want to add to that, just for everybody listening, is one, know who wrote the article. Like, learn who your beat writers are. Learn who. I mean, like, everybody knows that when Adam Schefter says something happened, like, everybody knows that if Adam Schefter says it happened, it happened. Mm-hmm. Same with like Woj in basketball. So like know who those people are for your team, and look for those. Also read your headlines or read your articles. Don't just look at the headline. Read it. Make sure you understand it before sharing it, and don't buy into the blue check mark hype, because once you actually realize how you get those blue check marks, you realize that it means absolutely nothing.
Yep. Well, I want my blue check mark. I don't have no blue check mark on Twitter. I've been asking for one, trying to get one. I can't get one. So,
you know why you can't get
my blue check mark?
You can't get one because they shut down the program.
Yeah.
Because
I know. Anyway, give me an orange one.
I do know somebody you can DM. So maybe I'll pass that along.
I'm gonna make my own check mark.
Yeah. So Clara Russell still with us. I do have another thing to ask. You can find Clara Russell on Twitter at TXGirl2009. Y'all make sure y'all follow her. She's a great follow. Not just for athletics. She's just a funny person. But she's about real talk too. Do you got any other pages that you're on? Are you on Instagram or?
Yeah, I did. My Instagram is all my travel photos, so people can go there and check out travel. That's just devoted to travel.
What's the name of is it the same handle?
Girl 2009. Yep.
Oh, shoot, my bad. I should have tagged you a little bit more on that. Okay, so I will have to bring this up. We only got a couple more minutes with you, and you and some of the other people that are in our chat. I saw Andrew in here.
Yep.
Maybe some others are in our Teague's street team fantasy football. Right. You started out on fire. You were gang banging, thought you had a good draft, and something happened. You kind of went boo-boo. I don't know if Tim can post this little thing on here, but I think you are in. What place are you in? Yeah, there it is. So she is.
Yeah, that handy.
So
quick with that.
Clara Russell is baby got Dak on this. If you don't know who real Slim Shady is, I gotta go over this way. Hey, that would be George Teague. Big 21. Swayla with the swag. Swayla. So she's doing her thing. She's a couple games back. Ric Flair's another, obviously, one of our street team members. And then we got Baby Got Dak. So I think she's okay. And I don't know if you've confirmed any spots right now. I don't want to talk too much about King Penguin. Anybody know?
Y'all made me draft while we were in the hospital. That's not fair.
I guess you know who King Penguin is. Then King Penguin is.
I wasn't even in the country on that.
I was having a baby.
Drafted a couple kickers, I think, Clara, or something like that. So.
Quarterback.
Yep. And then let me see, Brent's. So if y'all want to know who Brent's team is, Brent is actually profoundsites.com. So y'all make sure y'all follow him and give him some business too, because he does a great job. Art. Oh, what's Art's Twitter's name handle? I'm forgetting. No, Pack Attack is Art is his real name. Pack Attack is. Shoot, I'm forgetting.
Is that Andrew?
No, Andrew is Rammer Jammer. So Andrew in here. Andrew, where was his? Andrew McAllister is Rammer Jammer. He's doing okay. He just got beat by Consuela this weekend. So he was talking a lot of trash in the chat thing, but He gave that up. So we'll see how this goes. I felt bad at first. I only had 4 teams going into playoffs, but since everybody was whining and complaining about something, I extended it to 6, I believe. JT's still in the hunt if he can catch Brent.
So you're trying to tell me 6 out of 10 teams go to the playoffs in your league?
How many do you want? 10 out of 10?
4.
Oh, that's what I said. I had 4.
No, you can't
I
have.
don't know who was complaining. It wasn't me.
I didn't say nothing. I knew I was going to be in.
Yeah.
The National Football League.
Yeah. So, it don't matter. Mitch's team, he's not going to make it at all. Pack Attack ain't going to make it. Art then he got lucky because I traded him Ronald Jones just to try to help him. I felt bad for him. But anyway, I'm still rocking and rolling, and hopefully I can make it through the playoffs. So,
nice.
Clara, we appreciate you, man. Thank you for coming on, spending a little time with us.
My pleasure.
Yes. Make sure you tell that husband, dog, how many animals you got? Or we heard a little dog earlier and some pets.
Yeah, they're senior citizens, so they're 13 and 14 years old, both the dogs.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So we do thank you for coming, spending some time with us. Thank you for all the help that you've given us and support. You've now made Andrew mad again because he's looking for one of those jerseys still, and he hadn't got one. So
mine almost went to him. It probably went a bunch of different places.
So you know what? Let's do this, Clara.
How about the Cowboys?
There he is.
Oh, my God. I love the Cowboys. George,
So,
I love you, man. You're my boy, George. You are my boy, George. I love you, man. I locked the door. I just not found the key to it.
I appreciate it. So we're going to do this on behalf of Clara. Clara, I need you to do this for me after you get off. Okay. Go back and make sure you look at the comments if you can. Okay. For all of those people who have said you're friends, they're your friends. So I've seen people here saying they're your neighbor, they're your friend, or whatever it is. I want you to take note of those.
Yep.
Okay. And then I want you to contact me because you are going to pick one person that we're going to give a gift from on behalf of one of our sponsors, the Cowboys House. So I'm going to sign a either Dallas Cowboy mini helmet or Cowboy helmet or Alabama mini helmet for them, and you're going to be able to choose that lucky winner. Oh, no pressure on you trying to.
You might lose some friends here. Yikes!
Oh yeah. So we got 10 more seconds, right? The 10 seconds. Clara Russell says she wants to do the speed round. So let's see what you got.
All right, George, you ready?
Yep.
Favorite all-time teammate?
Darren Woodson.
I knew that was coming.
Say what?
Best coach?
Mike Zimmer.
Bud Light or Coors Light?
Bud Light.
Vanilla or chocolate?
Chocolate.
Car or truck?
Truck.
NCAA or NFL?
Ooh. You told me no pause. NCAA.
Baseball or soccer?
Soccer.
Is it stuffing or dressing?
It's dressing.
They're different.
Wings, bone in or bone out?
Bone in.
Big 10 or Big 12?
Pac-12.
SEC.
Beach or mountain?
Say what?
Beach or mountain? Not camera.
Beach.
Dog or cat?
Dog.
Pizza or taco for the win?
Tacos. Let's go. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank
We
you
appreciate
guys.
it.
It's been a
Yeah.
pleasure. It's been a lot of fun.
All right. We'll have a good time. Thank you. And
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
yes, happy Thanksgiving. Look up those names and we'll talk in the next couple of days and get something out.
Will do.
All right.
Thank you, JT.
All right.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Jada.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. This is Teague's Take. We're going to take a quick break. I want to say thanks again to Clara for popping on here with us and entertaining us so well. After the break, we're going to do some Money Matters with JT. He's got some Clemson, Florida State. We're also going to do our NFL Power Rankings. Have the Cowboys arrived? I got some funny audio from Tom Pelissero. I don't know. I was going to play this, George. I don't know if you guys have heard this yet or not. The watermelon story. And then we're discuss Jameis Winston. Is he done? Was he already done before he ever got there? I say yes. I just ruined it. And then the TAPS football playoffs update by George to close it out. But we'll be back right after this. 3R Sports Graphics. Hello, everybody. You've probably seen the graphics that are out on social media every week that announce the guest for Teague's Take for that week, as well as their credentials listed there on the graphic as well. Those come from our good friend Tyler Sanders over at 3R Sports Graphics. Now, he only works for schools, so we need to mention that. Some of his proud schools are Liberty Christian, Parish Episcopal, Legacy Christian, and Fort Worth Christian. These are custom graphics for your school's athletic department. Hire Tyler Sanders and 3R Sports Graphics, and you will work one-on-one with a graphic designer. You will get final score graphics the night of the game, unlimited graphics with a 1-year contract, and you can fulfill the sports information director role of a school, but for a fraction of the cost. And he will handle this for you every week. He puts it out on social media for you as well. He handles that. Give Tyler Sanders a call with 3R Sports Graphics, 713-933-9767, or you can shoot him an email, tsanders2405@gmail.com. Tyler Sanders, 3R Sports Graphics, on Twitter at 3R Sports and the number 1. And check out his Twitter feed. He's got all of the examples. You can scroll through his feed and look at all of the graphics as he's done for everybody. Tyler Sanders, 3R Sports Graphics. Give him a call now. Thank you, Tyler. Hey, sports and sports memorabilia fans. This is IndyCar Tim. I want to talk to you about our new friend Chris Gordon over at the Cowboy House, cowboyhousesports.com on the web. Now, Chris is super passionate about all sports, and that's why the Cowboy House is so much more than just a Dallas Cowboys sports memorabilia store. He's got unique game-used memorabilia and rare, hard-to-find autographs for teams across the globe. Everything from the NFL, MLB, NHL, NBA, golf, UFC, soccer, Olympics, even from Hollywood and the political sector. And his store isn't just a fancy mall store. It's more of a man cave that he likes to share with his friends and customers. Come on into the store at 209 South Shady Shores Drive, Suite 200 in Lake Dallas, and you can walk on the Texas Stadium end zone turf. You can sit in a chair from Yankee Stadium or Texas Rangers Globe Life Park. Check out hundreds of autographed jerseys from hundreds of teams. Check out thousands of photos signed with certificates of authenticity. He's also got custom framing for all of your sports memorabilia items. Chris Gordon over at cowboyhousesports.com. 214-551-5978. Thank you, Cowboy House.
ProfoundSites.com for your personal and commercial needs. Websites built, repaired, secured, maintained, and found. Brent Thomas and ProfoundSites.com provide e-commerce development, website development, online marketing, web, mobile, and e-commerce consulting. With over 10 years experience, Profound Sites is responsible for creating GeorgeTeague.com, where you can hear Teague's Take with George Teague every week. Brent Thomas and Profound Sites can take you through the entire pain-free process of building your new website. From initial discussion to planning, design, to coding and making your site live and discoverable on the internet. Contact Brent Thomas at ProfoundSites.com or email him at brent@ProfoundSites.com. Increase time inside your home, noticing all the little things needing attention? Let Repair Resource be your one trusted contractor to tackle all of your home repair needs. They do it all: electrical, plumbing, drywall, painting, and flooring of all types. They can even handle your exterior needs, like fencing, patio covers, concrete pads, and decking. No job too big or small. Repair Resource does it all. Call them at 972-415-1198 or visit them online at www.repair-resource.com. Meat Church. Do you need to take your barbecue and grilling game to the next level? Check out the great line of products from Meat Church Barbecue. From seasoning and rubs to full-blown recipes like pork belly burnt ends, smoked queso, beef ribs to smoked bologna, and Texas-style brisket, Meat Church has what you need. If your barbecue and grilling game is lacking, check out their barbecue classes and events. They'll help you raise your game to impress your friends and family. If you're in the Waxahachie area, please check out their store at 205 West College Street or give them a call at 214-980-1063 or head on over to meatchurch.com for locations near you where all their great products are available, or order directly from them online at meatchurch.com.
Hey, this is IndyCar Tim. I want to talk to you about the Maverick Bar and Grill in Carrollton, Texas. It's North Dallas's premier sports bar and grill located at 1616 West Hebron Parkway. It's 16 minutes from just about anywhere in the DFW Metroplex. With all of the live action on dozens of TVs and the big screen, it's the place to hang out and watch the return of sports with all your friends. Friday and Saturday nights, you'll find the best live music in DFW right there at the Maverick Bar. And of course, on Thursday nights at 6 p.m., you'll find Teague's Take broadcasting live with Alabama and Cowboys legend George Teague. Come hang out and be part of the show. Check out the Maverick Bar and Grill in Carrollton, 972-492-7500, or on the web at themaverickbar.com. Hey, Cowboys fans, this is IndyCar Tim. I want to talk to you about CowboysSI.com. Do you need a one-stop shop for Cowboys news and happenings over at the Star in Frisco? Click on over to CowboysSI.com, featuring Mike Fisher and his talented staff of reporters with over 30 years experience covering America's team. It's the most popular of all the Sports Illustrated sites and home to the Cowboys Blitzcast podcast. CowboysSI.com is the place to get the inside scoop on your Cowboys. With such a talented team of writers and reporters, you'll always know the latest about personnel and roster moves and salary cap and draft class status. Click on over to CowboysSI.com and always be in the know and get the inside scoop on America's team at CowboysSI.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Teague's Take. What a great first half of the show that was, George. She's a great guest, man. I'm glad you booked her.
I'm glad we got a chance to do that too. I know it goes into what we were talking about doing anyway, about just having some fans on and maybe, having some Saturday sessions or pre-game sessions. And that was it's good because she's fun and, she's well-traveled, and it just is awesome to have her on. So it's good. Thank you.
Lots of fun. Well, it's that time of the show. It's everybody's favorite segment. It's time for Money Matters with JT. What you got, JT?
Yeah, so Money Matters is brought to you by ProfoundSites.com. This week's topic is Florida State ducking Dabo? So the Clemson-Florida State game was canceled or postponed on Friday evening. This past Friday evening. Yes. And the facts as presented were that Clemson had a symptomatic player practicing all week. He was a backup offensive lineman, and they tested him during the week, and the test came back negative. Friday, they get on the plane. They fly down to Tallahassee, and on Friday, that player's test came back positive. The medical staff between Clemson and Florida State could not agree on whether or not it was safe to play. Therefore, they canceled the game, and Dabo has been in the media basically saying that Florida State is afraid to play them, and that this cancellation had nothing to do with COVID at all, and that they should have two options. One option is to pay for Clemson to come back down, or I guess three options. Pay for Clemson to come back down to Florida State to play the game. Florida State should have to go to Clemson, or Florida State should forfeit. So before I give my opinion, I want to know what you guys think of the stink that Dabo is making with this, and who do you think is in the right here?
Go ahead, George.
Okay. All right. Teague's Take segment, whatever this is, right? JT Money Matters. All right. So dealing with COVID and who's right about this, being a coach and being in a similar situation, honestly, when we were getting ready to play All Saints. So we've had multiple, had to miss a couple games, not because of someone on our team, but someone else. Okay. And knowing how hard it is to try to decipher what contact tracing looks like, who might have it, who doesn't, with our school, we have so many kids quarantined right now. And not necessarily to my liking all the time, the way it comes down. I mean, we're shutting down whole teams and things of that nature because COVID is a serious deal, and I'm only speaking on that just because I've had it. I know what it feels like, you know, and it's hit our household here. I don't want to get into the political piece of what all that stuff means, but I just know that you do have to protect your kids. So I think Dabo is in the wrong for expressing it the way that he is. You know, I know what the rules are, as he keeps stating. That's not in the rules. And why did we do this before? And why did we do that? I don't know all the facts about what it was, but I would know if you told me and I was getting ready to play Nolan this week, and they said, Coach, we've been having this kid who has symptoms all week long. And on Thursday night, you know, he tells me, hey, he tested positive. I know 100% fact that we wouldn't be playing on Friday. Didn't matter who it was, whether it's this team or someone else inferior that didn't want to play us or whatnot. So my answer is I understand Dabo's points. That's not something you need to put in the media and try to strong arm someone when you're dealing with, you know, a virus of this nature. Is there truth that Florida State probably don't want to play them? Absolutely. I would agree with that as well. But I don't think you can mix those two when you're talking about this. It's just the year of the COVID. It's 2020, and you can't play. You can't take the chances when not necessary. Tim?
I think my first question would be, what provisions does the ACC already have in place?
They're so porous.
For someone to decide this? Like, I
They're
can't
so
believe
porous.
When they set all of this up and decided to play in this COVID era that they just said, okay, we'll let the teams talk about it and let them figure out if they should play or not. Because surely you could foresee that you're going to have one team that says no and one team that says yes. So I guess my first question would be, I want to know who the ACC designated to decide if teams should play or not, if it's their medical personnel, if it's, you know, whoever. I mean, because
you already know the ACC has been absent in this, especially since they have a commissioner who is on his way out of the door.
Sure. So if this is the way it was left, and this is really the only way for the two teams to get together, or any two teams to get together and decide, then the process is broken. And the two teams just have to throw their hands up in the team that wants to play, Clemson's going to have to just throw their hands up in the air and go, we should have saw this coming and should have had a better system in place, and just take it for what it is, you know?
Well, it's happening like that because that's kind of what our rules is. TAPS has said that, hey, if a person, I'm not saying this is the way it is with the ACC or whatever, but for us it was, if a team has a positive person, either team can opt out of that game and not be counted as a forfeit or not.
Okay.
So for us, it's
like a valid process.
We can decide, yeah, I'm coming. No, I'm not. It's not a you don't come or you have to play. We call it a no contest until you get into the playoffs. Then if you have a positive case and you decide not to play, then you lose.
Right.
You know, so
well, yeah, you have to.
It was pretty standard for us, and I kind of like that. But it did give me, the head coach or my head of school or president or principal, to say, no, George, we can't send our kids over there to go play with them. And we've always erred on that side to date. We played 5 of 8 games. You know?
Yeah, and it certainly seems to me what you said, George, that Dabo was kind of in the wrong here for trying to strong arm somebody to play a game that they really probably don't have any business playing.
They're going to beat them 48-.
Yeah. So,
and JT said, are they scared? Or was that a quote from Dabo that they're just scared to play us? Well, they should be scared to play you. You're Clemson.
Yes. It was a quote from Dabo. The Dabo, I think, at least online and through the Clemson forums and college football forums, has really over the past season and a half has turned himself into the villain as far as like most hated coaches in America. It used to be Nick Saban, and I think most people dislike Dabo more. I think that in this scenario, even in the last couple of weeks, I think that Dabo and Clemson have been incredibly irresponsible when it comes to handling this. So on the surface, it looked like they handled the Trevor Lawrence situation appropriately, and they did, probably by the rules. But like I said, the rules that the ACC has laid out is incredibly porous. There's so much room for interpretation and wiggle room where you can just kind of check boxes and do what you need to do to say that, hey, we did it, we can play the game. And what I mean is that Trevor Lawrence had tested positive, and yet he was on the plane with the rest of the team going to Notre Dame in the game that he was not allowed to play. They still put him on the plane with the rest of the kids to travel up to Notre Dame. And this is essentially the same thing that's happened this week, except I would say a little more egregious, where, yes, he may have had a negative test, but he was showing all of the symptoms. So you would think you'd err on the side of caution, being that it's a backup lineman. You'd be like, hey, you're just not going to practice this week. Not that big of a deal. But then they decided, well, he had a negative. He was sick all week, but he had a negative test case. So we're going to, again, put him on a plane, fly him down to Tallahassee, and then lo and behold, he tests positive. And Florida State, I think, rightfully was like, oh, so not only did the kid test positive when you got here, and he's been on the plane with your entire team, but he's also been symptomatic the entire time, and he's been practicing. Like, what part of this do you think is okay that we're going to get on the field and play? Now, sure, Florida State probably does not actually want to play this game, but I think the evidence that they are willing to play it is, one, they've already been trying to schedule the December 12th makeup proactively. Clemson has not. And two, if they really wanted to, not play the game, they do have the option to forfeit, and they could have, and they didn't.
Can y'all name one player on the Florida State's team for me, please?
Bobby
Justin
Bowden.
Blackman.
Did you say Bobby Bowden?
He's still there?
Justin Blackman. But I only know that because they had the same issue where he was symptomatic, and they decided not to take him to Louisville, and they had to play with their backup quarterback, and they lost. But they're probably going to lose anyway.
Well, yeah. Well, that's a great comment by Clayton Harrell down there off of YouTube, saying he just wants to see the Bama-Florida game. Let's just skip all the rest of the games. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I agree with that. That's a great comment.
Slaughter right there.
What do you mean? Let me clarify what you're saying here.
Florida cannot hang with Alabama.
Okay.
Florida can't hang with A&M. So how are they going to hang with Alabama?
I just wanted to make sure I knew what you were talking about.
Did you really think I was going to pick Florida over Alabama?
Well, all I know is you eating SpaghettiOs, or what was it? SpaghettiOs and weenies or something you said. What was it?
SpaghettiOs and Franks.
Yo, Frank's, weenies, same thing, man.
Franks on the can, okay?
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, but as long as you're full and you're doing well, I'm happy for you. That's why we got to make sure we got to start getting some donations for this show, because
they're champions.
My producer's eating SpaghettiOs. I feel bad about this. We're not making enough money, man. Golly. Okay. Funny. Well, that's good. Yeah, Dabo's my boy and all that kind of stuff, but he needs to cut it. I think I saw someone say the best thing. The Clemson needs to hire him a PR person or a marketing person.
They do.
I know they got one, but they need to have someone on his side or his hip and just saying, hold on a second, what are you going to say?
I really think I think Clemson is a little embarrassed that they spent $300,000 for that one night to travel down to Florida, to Tallahassee, and
they spent that much on one or two lockers. What the hell are they talking about? The way they beefing up this stuff.
But I think that's why it's like, oh, you need to reimburse us for coming down there, because it leaked out like how much they spent for their one night and not to play the game. And, you know, the last thing I'll say on it is that I really don't think that Florida State would give up a home game's worth of revenue to avoid getting beat down by Clemson, because they're probably going to get beat down by whoever they play next anyway.
Do they have fans? I agree with. Do they have fans? Okay. All right. Well, good deal. Well, I want to ask y'all, can we flip over to the NFL here for a second? Because, you know, a lot of things have been evolving and changing, and watching this, I've been talking about fantasy football, but I want to talk about real football for a second. So as we're getting closer, of course, we're always trying to figure out where the Cowboys fit in a power ranking kind of deal. But I want to give you my top 5 power rankings, and I want to hear from you guys who yours are and why. Okay. So for me, coming in at number 5, drum roll, are the Seahawks. They're 7-3. I have them up there because I think they found their defense. They're starting to come a little bit better now that they got Jamal Adams back. They do have a great running game, and with Russell Wilson, Metcalf, you know, the coaching staff, I think they're going to be good. At number 4,
Cowboys.
I did not say that. Make sure you hear that in my voice. This may shock some people. I got the LA Rams at number 4, 7-3. It's going to be hard to beat those guys with the defense they have. They are showing some spark with Cooper Kupp, Brandon Cooks. There are as many of the running backs as they have. They're trying to find a way to move the ball. Jared Goff is starting to do some things. I think they moved up in my list. I think we might be close in the rest of these 3. Order might be a little bit different. At number 3, I got the New Orleans Saints. At first, I thought about putting them a little bit higher, but not really. I think what they continue to do every year, and to be able to win with Taysom Hill, which we're going to be talking about a little bit later, and consistently find a way to win without Drew Brees, and that defense is sneaky good. And, you know, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, they're good. So this is where we get on 1 and 2. My number 2, 10-0 undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers. I think their defense is still where it needs to be, but I'm a little bit concerned about their running game and where it's going to be a little bit later. Got Ben, but I don't think they're stacking loaded enough to what the other teams that I'm talking about, what the defenses they have. I think when they run into some of those guys, they're going to struggle a little bit more. I know they got Claypool, Juju, James Conner, but those aren't elite dudes like some of these other guys in my mind. Okay, so that puts Kansas City at number 1. I'm not betting against Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, or Andy Reid. I'm not going to do that. I think they've put the formula together to put it in last year, and someone's going to have to knock them off in the playoffs to really try to make this. But going in probably with a bye and things of that nature, and have to go up into Kansas City and try to beat them in that cold weather is going to be tough. So I did have some outliers. People want to know, well, I did have Green Bay for consideration. I did have the Bills. I did have the Colts, and I did have the Titans. But my 5, number 5, Seahawks, 4, Rams, 3, New Orleans, 2, Pittsburgh, 1, Kansas City. All right. Tim.
Great. You know what, George? Great minds think alike. And that has been proven on these airwaves and on this video tonight, because we differ in one spot.
Okay.
Even our outliers are exactly the same. However, at the number 5 spot, instead of Seattle, I have the Green Bay Packers at 7-3. We know they've got defensive issues. We saw that against Indianapolis. But man, when you're Aaron Rodgers, you're Aaron Rodgers. It wasn't his fault they lost that game. He had everything rolling. And that was an AFC loss. It wasn't even an NFC loss, so I didn't really care. But the bad news for them is that they're 3rd in their conference. But I got them at number 5. Number 4, just like you have got the Rams. Of course, their backbone is their defense. I really would like to see some more consistency on the offensive side of the ball and with Jared Goff. But they've got to be. And, I was tossing around the Saints and the Rams where to put them, and I've got the Saints just edging out the Rams for the 3 spot instead of at 4. I don't care who you put at quarterback. Taysom Hill, well, I do care if it's Jameis Winston. I don't want that. But Taysom Hill or Drew Brees, man, that defense has started to click in the past few weeks. And that is a scary, scary-looking defense headed into the playoffs. So I've got the Saints at number 3 overall and the best team in the NFC overall. And then at number 2, just like you, I've got the 10-0 Steelers. I don't think they'll go undefeated this year just because that's really hard to do, and it's only happened, twice in the regular season. I have the same concerns you do, the running game. And I still have some concerns about if Ben Roethlisberger can stay healthy for the rest of the season. But they certainly look good. And I of course, at number 1, you have to have the Chiefs at 9-1. Main reason is I don't care what the rest of the team is doing. I don't care what the defense is doing. I don't care what the offense is doing. They have Patrick Mahomes, and the other teams don't. So there you go.
All right, that's a good deal. We do think alike. I appreciate it very much, and I'm very curious to see what my man JT has to say over here. So give us the rundown. Give us the scoop, JT.
Yeah, we're close, but we're not the same. I don't believe in the Rams. Sorry. I think if you put the Rams in a playoff game against Seattle, Green Bay, or New Orleans, I'm taking any of those teams at least 8 times out of 10. So my number 5 is Seattle. Number 4, I'm going to go with Green Bay. 3, New Orleans. And my top 2 are the same. I think the Steelers are I'm going to use the word lucky. I'm going to call them a lucky 10-0. Not saying they're not good, but I think the 10-0 record is them slightly overachieving.
Mm-hmm.
And the Kansas City Chiefs, for real. And the Kansas City Chiefs at number 1. My honorable mention as a close 5th, still not the LA Rams. I would actually take the Colts because that defense is legit. And everybody keeps wanting to sleep on Phillip Rivers, and he's doing just enough.
Yeah, that's all he's ever done, though. Just enough.
Well,
so wait, I have a question for both of you guys. This is not on the sheet, but when you said that, it brought this back to mind because I tweeted this out during the game. Joe Buck says he was talking about Phillip Rivers, and I like to refer to him as Phyllis Rivers. But Joe Buck mentioned in the same breath as the name Phillip Rivers, surefire Hall of Famer, in the same sentence. He said, Phillip Rivers, the surefire Hall of Famer, blah, 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 blah. And I about dropped my beer. Is there really anyone that thinks he is a surefire or any kind of Hall of Famer?
Well, what are his stats? Is he over?
Oh, he's got stats. He's got a lot of stats.
That's all that matters.
Well, then what's the argument? Yeah,
that's all that matters. That's all that matters.
How many Super Bowls he got?
None.
Doesn't matter.
None.
Go down the list of Hall of Fame quarterbacks and find how many also have zero Super Bowls.
Yeah, no, I get it. That's not a criteria. Dan Marino didn't have any Super Bowls. Jim Kelly didn't have any appearances. He didn't have any Super Bowls. Fran Tarkenton didn't have any Super Bowls. That's not. Danny White should be a Hall of Famer, and he didn't have any Super Bowls.
I don't think you got a problem with Phillip Rivers. I think you got a problem with surefire. You need a little bit of controversy in your life from time.
Maybe so, man. I would have to do some long and hard thinking about putting him in the Hall of Fame. He's not just a no-brainer.
You just don't like the way he throws. You seen that technique he has?
I hate his face. Leave your freaking helmet on the sideline. I don't want to look at your face and that goofy smile. You know what? You should not be doing any of that smack talk until you win some games and win something, because that's all he does on the field is smack.
Well, this ain't on the script either, but
back it up.
How you feeling about Tom Brady then?
I hate Tom Brady.
See, yeah, I think there's a pattern here. I probably could go down a few.
What's the ever?
That's why you're a Texas A&M fan. But anyway,
Cowboy.
Speaking of the Cowboys, are we back, fellas? Have we arrived now? The defense is starting to roll a little bit. Are we looking better? Is it?
Okay, I'll take that.
A few months ago, we were doom and gloom. Hey, they ain't going to score any points. They're not going to play in defense. It's going to be a rout. Now, do we have some hope that, as you said a little bit earlier, that, hey, are they really going to be win the NFC East and make it to the playoffs because of the way that they're playing now? What do you think, JT?
Okay, which one of these questions you want me to answer first? Are they back? No, they're as back as Texas is back.
Okay.
Are they looking better? Yes. They won a game, so of course they look better. Will they win the NFC East? I don't think so. I don't think they're. I think that they're going to be one game shy, as they always are. It's going to come down to them having to beat the Giants week 17, and they're not going to do it. And I think that means, as much as I hate to say this, I think as the schedule stands, football team is going to win the division.
Oh, well, I guess we'll know on Thursday. And that's what I'm kind of looking forward to.
If they beat football team on Thursday, they have a shot. But we already know the Eagles are out because Carson Wentz is no good, and they have like they've got 3 of my top 5 teams that they have to play in consecutive weeks.
They have the hardest for sure.
Yeah, they're not gonna survive this. Football team has a little bit of a better schedule, and I don't think we can run the table. I don't think that we can beat football team, the Eagles, and the Giants 3 times. So I think they're going to lose 1. I think they're likely to probably lose 2 because that's just what the Cowboys do. And one of those, they're going to lose the wrong one of those 3.
Oh, ye of little faith, Tim. I think after this Vikings win, that was what we needed, a good spark. The play of Donovan Wilson helping out that secondary, bringing some physicalness. Guys are flying around.
He looked like George Teague out there.
Well, I wouldn't go that far now, but I appreciate it.
The Vikings are only 1 game better than the Cowboys.
Yeah,
it's not like the Vikings are a good team.
Yeah, they are. They've got a bad defense, or have had a bad defense, and they're coming around. They're going to be something, but having to try to deal with Thielen and Cook, and yes. Anyway, so what do you think, Tim? You reading all the reports? You talking to all your people, and you're reporting on the Cowboys every single week. What's going on?
So here's the deal with the Cowboys. It all hinges on the defense. It looks like the offense have got things put back together, with the point totals the last couple of weeks.
I'm not sorry.
Against Pittsburgh, against Minnesota, Pittsburgh against a really good Pittsburgh defense. They were able to move the ball and score some points. Andy Dalton looks like his brain's back where it belongs, inside his skull. He ran that offense pretty well. He had some questionable throws, but you know what? That's Andy Dalton. He had more good throws than he had bad throws. He had 2 picks that probably were dropped, 2 surefire picks that were dropped, but you know what? That they were dropped. As far as the defensive side, the offensive side of the ball goes, we remember how bad they were for a short period. A lot of that was due to injuries. One key ingredient of that offensive line is now back. And I correlate this offense getting back on track with the return, even though he's now moved sides, Zach Martin. Since Zach Martin has come back from injury, dude, this offensive line is gelling. and he is getting just about all the time he needs on the majority of the downs that he needs it on. He was not as rushed as he was, even back against Washington back in week 7. Definitely not against the Giants, and even going against Arizona. That when Martin was out, man, it was just a Swiss cheese offensive line. Since Zach Martin has returned, that offensive line has gelled, and because of that, the offense is now gelling as a whole. He's finding receivers. Man, Pollard looks really, really good. Zeke looked pretty good against Minnesota. He broke a couple. Fine. And you know what? I don't know if you noticed this or not. Zeke's never been the most patient of running backs. He's usually looking for a hole and he hits it. But man, a couple of those big runs that he had, if you watched, he stood there in the backfield waiting for a hole to develop before he darted through it. And I was shocked and amazed and pleasantly surprised, because that's what he's going to have to do with that offensive line. But anyway, you can say the same thing about the defense. Since Van Der Esch has returned, that defense has kind of come together. They're not relying so much on Jalen Smith to quarterback them, but they've got Van Der Esch back there. So, you know what? I don't know if they're going to win the division, but they certainly look like the best altogether team the last couple of weeks in the NFC. I'm a big fan of the Giants. They're coming together as well. If future surefire Hall of Famer Daniel Jones can keep it together and keep the turnovers to a minimum, which he has done the last 2-3 weeks, they've got as good a chance as any. And JT may be right. It may be week 17, Dallas up in the Meadowlands for the division. In order to get there, they're going to have to beat Philadelphia again there at week 16 at home. But those last 2 games, week 16 and 7, that's where the division is going to be won or lost for all 3 of these teams as we all play each other.
Okay. I'm hearing y'all, but you need to go ahead and hit that little button for me. That
Cowboys
will win the NFC East. Bam. Put that in there. I'm saying it right now. I think we're going to pull it out. We'll shake up the world. They're doing big things, and we'll see. They may let us down like they do from time to time.
Anything is possible
from time to time.
Yeah,
most of the time.
Let's talk about Saints football. We don't do a lot of that on this show, do we?
No, a good reason why, because JT's wife is going to be, I don't know, wanting another baby or something. We start talking about Saints.
Oh,
well,
do that on your show, JT.
Huh?
Do that on your own show.
Well, you can see JT got in the studio in there. I'm peeping the little baby crib right back there in the room too. So that's cool, man. That's cool. That's right. Old Tinsley, we're very proud of you guys for what you're doing with the baby. But just Jameis Winston, man. I want to hear y'all's take, but I'm gonna give you mine first, right? Because I think they should have went with Jameis Winston over Taysom Hill. And I'm looking at I don't know what
the game.
So what?
Even after the results of the game, you still think they should have started Jameis?
Well, I don't know that the results would have been any different. Now, I'm not at the practices and things of that nature. Maybe Jameis is just looking terrible in practice. I don't know that. I'm just saying when we're going into this game and as good as you are, I would think experience is still going to matter. Now, I know they both have played, right, in the games and whatnot, but James' career, although he's thrown a lot of interceptions, he's had really good, especially with those weapons, he should be able to throw the ball pretty good. He could hit Alvin Kamara out the backfield pretty easily, I would think. He's threw for 4,000 yards, 4,000 yards, 3,000 yards, 3,000 yards, 5,000 yards each of the past 4 years. And I know, I'm sure that's why they brought him in there. And it's just kind of hard for me to fathom that he's 26 years old, I believe. He's young, still learning the game, and probably got some stuff to do. Taysom is 30.
He's been that old?
Is he 30? Really?
30 years old. He's only been there 3 years. I don't know if he went to the military or what happened or why he was so late getting into the league. But he threw for 0 yards, then 64 yards, then 54 yards by a year. I'm talking about, and it's so drastic in the number of how much experience you have to results. Just to say, and maybe it's because he runs better. I don't know what it was, but I just felt like at that moment when they were making a decision, I'm still kind of confused on why you wouldn't put the other guy in, Winston in. And so when we have this on the screen where it says, is Jameis Winston done? That makes me say something has to be going on if you're going to put the 30-year-old that has no quarterback experience, basically, or, not in the NFL, and they opted to put him in over you. Something ain't right. He's got to be out of there in a year. After this season, they got to be thinking we can't hold on to Winston.
Right.
Am I wrong about Winston being with the Saints next year?
My opinion as a Saints fan, to answer our question on the screen, is Jameis Winston done? Yes, and he was done before he got to the Saints. I think we all forgot the 30 touchdown yet 30 interception year in Tampa Bay.
Oh, we didn't forget.
Bruce Arians is a quarterback guy. And he worked with him for 2 years and couldn't get anything out of him, saw no hope. Went and got Tom Brady. If he wouldn't have got Tom Brady, he was getting somebody else. It didn't matter who was going to be in there. It was not going to be Jameis Winston. He was done. And remember, Jameis Winston sat out there for a long time, just like Cam Newton did, before any offers. And here you got a first overall pick in the league from 2013? I forget what year he came out, 14. That nobody wanted. And they had all the tape on him. In the meantime, then the Saints pick him up. In the meantime, you got Taysom Hill with the Saints since 2017, taking backup quarterback reps in practice for 3 years. He's familiar with the offense. He's familiar with the game planning of Sean Payton. He's buddies with Drew Brees. So I guarantee you they went with him because
he's buddies with Drew Brees. You just said it. Thank you.
No, that's not why. That's not why.
Because he knows. And they didn't have to dumb the playbook. They don't want to have to dumb the playbook down for Jameis Winston. They told him to go get some seafood at the grocery store. We're not starting you. So, dude, and Taysom Hill, man, he's got some skills. He's not Drew Brees, but I don't know if you watch that game or watch the highlights. The guy can throw and he can run, man. He is a much bigger threat to run than Jameis Winston or Drew Brees in that offense.
Well,
and that was the game plan they wanted to go with. They didn't want to have to dumb down the game plan for everybody. And I guarantee you, Sean Payton's a quarterback whisperer. I don't think he can get anything out of Jameis Winston.
Well,
Jameis is gone after this year, and I don't know that he's going to be picked up by any. You know who's going to pick up Jameis Winston? The new XFL next year. He might be the new XFL.
So mark this on your books. So when we ask for topics for another week, who is the ultimate quarterback whisperer? Because I'm hearing you when you say stuff about Bruce Arians and what he's supposed to be. I've seen it, but even when I'm looking at Kyler Murray now in the second year, he's talented, he's fast, but I sure see him missing a whole lot of throws and things. He makes some great ones, but I still see a lot of things that aren't there.
I say John Gruden.
Before we do that, let me answer the question.
All right,
because there's still some things that we're missing here. Yes, Jameis Winston is done in New Orleans for two reasons. One, because he was actually never. Now that Sean Payton has actually talked about it, it's clear that he was never actually the backup quarterback. Sean Payton said the reason that Jameis Winston started when Drew went down the first time is because Jameis Winston, other than Drew Brees, was the only one during the week that had actually sat through all of the quarterback meetings, because Taysom Hill had to go to special teams and receiver and running back and tight end and know all those other things that he was supposed to be doing. He followed up that quote by then saying that basically what he said was, if Drew goes down in the middle of the game and Drew's the starter, they're going to put in Jameis Winston because he has been in the quarterback planning the entire time, or that entire week. If they have time to prepare and they know that Drew is out, it's going to be Taysom Hill, because they believe that Taysom Hill is a better quarterback. So the two reasons that I say that Jameis Winston will not be in a Saints jersey next year, one is because they're paying him less than $1 million now, and they think Taysom Hill is better than he is. And two, the Saints next year are like $94 million over the cap, and they're going to have to like clean house in order to even be able to field the football team next year. And Jameis Winston is not going to be good enough to make the team unless he plays for vet minimum, and he's not going to do that. So is he done in the league? I don't think so. There's a team in which I still think Jameis Winston is better than both of their quarterbacks, and they're up in Chicago. And the way Jacksonville's playing right now, he's not better than Gardner Minshew, but he's better than this Luton guy that they got right now. So he will find a spot somewhere. It just won't be in New Orleans.
I don't think he's better than Nick Foles.
I think he is.
Jameis Winston. I
don't think Nick Foles is very good.
I don't either. I think he's better than Jameis Winston.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, there it is.
He's better than. I'll give you somebody else that might be interested in him. Another team that desperately needs a quarterback next year. The San Francisco 49ers. They're going to need a quarterback.
He ain't better than Garoppolo.
Oh, okay, then they're equally terrible.
Oh, geez. I don't know, man. He's doing fine up there when
he might make it to the Jets too.
Oh,
God. No.
The Jets.
You don't want to go.
Well, I mean, if the Jets end up getting,
I think that's his power. So I bet he probably got hit with something. So
I don't think they would.
Well, one of these things we were talking about to everybody else, just in case he looked like he popping back in there, but I was gonna say that it probably was the lightning or something probably hit him out there because we are getting. I think we're under a tornado warning over here. It got very, very windy and started raining for a little bit, so I'm sure it's kind of chilled out over here. So we do apologize if you heard any loud rain coming through our mics. But I hope it's gone by Friday and Saturday because there's going to be a whole lot of football games going on, high school football games. I know last week I talked to you guys about the playoffs for the TAPS teams. Pretty much only talked about Division I and Division II mainly. And it's just because it's a little bit closer to my level. I play Division I. And so I actually picked all the teams right at the Division I level. It will get a little bit tougher this week. John Paul II, second, my high school. We're playing Nolan Catholic on Friday, 11 a.m. How about that, Tim? We're playing a Friday game at 11 a.m. Man, you know how hard that is to try to get ready for an 11 o'clock game. That's like playing that 12 o'clock game in the league or that 11 o'clock game in college. You have to get up early and be ready. That is tough for kids to do, especially when they're used to playing
and all the high school athletes are going to be hung over anyway. So,
well, I am in a Catholic school. That don't mean anything. I'm just saying.
I'm at the other team.
Yeah, they are both Catholic. So, we're going to be playing at Globe Life Park 11. If you guys are here local and you want to come out, plenty of seats. Just go onto Globe Life Park website and you can get your ticket. Come on out and watch us. This is a rematch of the second round playoff. Last year we had a battle with them. We were fortunate enough to come out on the positive side last year. So this is the rematch of the big Catholic schools, us being out east and them being out west to see who's going to make it into the semifinal round. We do have some other really big matchups because Parish Episcopal of Dallas is going to be Parish Episcopal is going to be playing Prestonwood Christian Academy. They're playing on Saturday at the Star in Frisco. So that'll be another good one to see. That is a 2 seed versus a 3 seed. I should have said Nolan is a 1 and I'm a 4. And then the 2 and 3 are playing on Saturday. And those are perennial powerhouses as well. JT, I'm not really sure who I want to take on this one. You know, I keep leaning toward Prestonwood some, but I think I'm going to stay with Parish on this one just because I think their defense may hold up I think there's going to be some high scoring pieces of this. Coach Cunningham with PCA is really good with putting together an offensive game plan. But so is Novikov at Parrish. So I think it may be a high scoring game, and I'm going to give the edge to Parrish.
I don't even think it's an edge. I think Parrish is going to wipe the floor with them just like they did a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
I mean, they beat them 55-14 the first time. I don't see this being any closer.
Yeah, well, and a lot of the things that we don't know, and that is the people that even missing people for COVID, the injuries and things, and that really leads me into the next group, which is Fort Worth All Saints is taking on Liberty Christian, and although All Saints had been over because we were taking everybody into the playoffs, so it didn't matter because of the COVID schedules that we have now. The thing about All Saints is that they are now healthy and COVID free, and that's why they whooped up on the number 2 seed of the South District to advance to take on Argyle Liberty Christian, which is our 6th seed. And I'm picking All Saints to win that game to advance to the semifinals as well. The last one on our side I think is pretty interesting is Midland Christian versus Houston St. Thomas. They're going to have to play the neutral site out in Fredericksburg, Texas. They'll play on Saturday as well. We're the only ones playing on Friday. Everybody else is playing on Saturday. Haven't figured out which game I want to go see on Saturday yet. St. Thomas is always pretty good. They lost to Parrish last year in the semifinals, I believe. They're the dominant team out of Houston, of the South District. But Midland is kind of sneaky good, man. I mean, we played them and we beat them, but that run game that they got, and if they control the football, they might be able to cause some problems. But St. Thomas has the quarterback. I forget where he's committed to. I want to say not Mississippi State, but he's Ole Miss. No, I think he's committed to Ole Miss. I think he's a very good quarterback, and they do keep talent down there. It's a very large boys' school. They got about 1,200 boys. They're about I'm saying size of Jesuit or something. They're pretty doggone big, and so they keep a very good football team. So I think because of the experience and the level of play, I'm going to go ahead and give the game to Houston St. Thomas. I think they'll be the only team from their district. So, JT, if you hadn't really known or paid attention, all the teams from the South District are out. Every one of them got beat except for Houston St. Thomas. So this could be a Final Four.
Because Houston St. Thomas didn't play. I think they get beat this week.
Yeah, so it could be an upset. And if it is an upset by Midland Christian, 4 teams from the Northern District or from Division I, Midland's not considered North, I guess, could be in the semifinal round. And I don't know how often that's happened, but that would make a pretty big statement about the caliber of teams that we have up here. Division II, I'm not even going to talk about that much because I just think that Dallas Christian and, as I said before, Dallas Christian and Austin Regents, they're going to end up in the state finals. I still, just looking at the bracket, I don't think there's going to be very much difference. Division III football could be the game to watch will be Dallas First Baptist versus Munster Sacred Heart. Those will be 2 very good football teams. Jason Lavorne, I think they scored 60-some points last time. Munster was off, but I'm going to pick Munster. They're probably coming in as an underdog. I'm not sure, but I'm going to take Munster to win that game over First Baptist also. So there you have it. There's my little scoop on some of the private school football here. Going to be some great games to watch. Just get to taps.biz. Taps.biz. You can see the brackets. Just click on the bracket button, and it has all the divisions up there. Division 1, 2, 3. Click on details. It'll tell you what time the game is and where they're going to be played. So if you're ever looking for updates other than with us here at Teague's Take, go visit tap.biz for those updates. So
Nice.
Thank you guys again, man. I see you put that up there, georgeteague.com. You know, we're about to make some more enhancements to that soon. I'll be working with Brent here pretty fast. We're going to start selling apparel. About to have the website done to start selling jerseys and pictured or framed pictures, unframed pictures too, maybe. So we're really working that out right now because a lot of people are asking for these things and we want to be able to do that. So y'all visit georgeteague.com. Help our sponsors out too. Visit them, talk to them, give them a buzz because they're all great and they're all a part of it. We're unfortunate that we can't be at the Maverick Bar. I tell you what, I sure am missing those wings and fries. I hope that I got back order on those, but we got the gifts coming out of Cowboy House this week. 3R Sports doing the graphics and the videos for us. Of course, Meat Church always doing what they do. I'm going to go down there and see him and have some of their grub as soon as some of this COVID stuff clears up. ProfileSites.com. Man, Brent Thomas, he is on that list too of our fantasy football team. He promises that he's going to win the league. I don't think he's going to get into the playoffs. CowboySI.com and Reaper Resource. Call my man Scott up, get your deck built, some electricity work, whatever it is. That's all I got, fellas. Thank you guys for everything.
We want to thank everybody for watching on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. Especially we want to thank everybody that commented and was part of the show. We want to thank Clara for coming out and as entertaining as she was. And again, like most of our guests, she could go for a full hour and we wouldn't be done talking to her. So special thanks to her. Next week, the December 1st show, we've got my buddy, Brian Broaddus from 105.3 The Fan, the G-Bag Nation show, weekdays from 2 to 7 p.m. He is a former NFL scout and director of player personnel. He's worked for the Packers, the Eagles, the Cowboys, and you know what? My favorite Brian Broaddus story, and I've got to make sure that he can tell this on the air, is an Al Davis story about his 2 weeks with the Oakland Raiders. Well, at the time, I think Los Angeles Raiders maybe. But it is a funny story just about the mindset of Al Davis back in the day. And it's hysterical. So he's also on the pre and post game shows on the Dallas Cowboys games on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. And I believe he was involved in drafting you at Green Bay, correct?
That's right. I was about to say, maybe he can dig up that old sheet and frame it for me and give me my evaluation. That'd be a nice little keepsake I could pass down to Tinsley or something of that nature. Let her know who granddaddy.
That would be great. Yeah, I can't wait to hear that story too as well. How we drafted or why we drafted George Teague story. That'll be great. But until next week, I'm Tim. He's George. He's JT. Again, we want to thank everybody also that is listening to the downloaded podcast. Please subscribe, like the podcast, leave us a great review on whatever platform it is that you listen to. And until next week, we will see you then. Have a safe week.
JT, you're supposed to throw your paper right now. Oh, he missed it. Too late.
Dang.
I don't even know what I threw here. I thought it was.
There you go.
There we go.